Hello, and welcome to the Fundamentals and Essentials of Small Business Development and Small Business Lending online learning course. My name is Paul Lloyd, and I'll be your host and your instructor throughout this 15-session online banking course. Quite frankly, you're in for a real treat. This is session number 1, entitled Introduction to Small Business Development and Small Business Lending. Now, before we get going, I'd like to officially congratulate you on being chosen to participate in this course. That's right, congratulate you. You've been selected by your boss or somebody else's boss to take part in this course in order to learn the key elements in the small business development and lending process. And I want to wish you the very best of luck as you go through these 15 sessions, which are roughly 35 to 40-minute presentations each in length. I believe that when you're through, when you've completed the program, you'll be 1. A better small business lender. 2. You'll understand the small business loan process a lot more. 3. You'll have real tools and real techniques to utilize on a daily basis. 4. You'll be a lot more confident in the small business development and small business lending process. And because of that, number 5, you'll book a lot more small business loans, obtain a lot more small business deposit accounts, and cross-sell a lot more accounts and services to other departments in your bank than you have in the past. Wow, that sounds great, doesn't it? Or have you heard these types of claims before at some other motivational or educational seminar? Well, fortunately for you, this is not a motivational or theory course on small business development and lending. And even though I believe strongly in being motivated, and I love to listen to other people's viewpoints on a lot of different subjects, I'm not here to motivate or theorize or waste your time. So even though I believe that you'll be motivated by the real hands-on approach in these 15 sessions, if you want only motivation, I suggest that you go turn on your Tony Robbins tapes before listening, because I mean business here. And by the way, so does your boss. He or she means business too. I'll be coming at you from a vantage point of having been in your shoes. You see, I was a branch manager and then strictly a small business lender for a combined total of 16 years. I've prospected small business customers, and I've closed literally hundreds of small business loans, so I know what you do and try to do on a daily basis. After my days of banking, I became president of Lehigh Chemical Group, a manufacturer's rep company, for 6 years, and now I'm also the president of Lloyd & Associates, a small 2-office executive placement and recruiting company that focuses on recruiting and placing branch managers and commercial lenders. And I designed this online course to help branch managers and small business lenders to excel in the small business development and lending world. In fact, it's been my 16 years of banking experience, as well as my countless conversations with senior commercial loan officers, now as a recruiter or headhunter, as some people call me, that I came to realize just how much this course is needed. When I was a branch manager, it always amazed me of the varying degrees of comfort and expertise you found with different managers and their respective approach to the small business commercial lending process. Some managers were excellent and really loved it, while others were deathly afraid of the word commercial lending. Similarly, many small business commercial lenders were branch managers in their past and either advanced or redirected their efforts and their career emphasis into the small business and commercial lending world. In many cases, they learned by doing, or some might say by necessity, which can be pretty stressful at times. Today, managers and small business lenders don't always have the training or the tools to succeed in the small business commercial loan world. Again, I say this from personal experience, as well as from countless conversations with frustrated senior commercial loan officers from around the country. The old training programs are gone. The notion of staying at one bank until you retire is gone. The loyalty from the bank, due in large part to the constant mergers, is also gone. And conversely, the loyalty from the individual bankers is somewhat gone. and it's hurting the banking industry and people's livelihoods. Now, the battle cry simply appears to be, go get business. Consequently, the frustration and stress levels of senior commercial lenders, as well as branch managers and small business lenders, continues to rise. And for a lot of reasons, mainly because everyone is asking how. How much? How much more? How are we going to do it? When I graduated from LaSalle University in Philadelphia in May 1982 with a degree in finance, I walked straight into a 6-month training program with Continental Bank 2 weeks later. I learned the consumer loan process, collections, commercial loan analysis and operations, workout, and lots more. And even as I progressed through those first few years with Continental Bank, I attended many financial statement analysis and cash flow analysis courses taught by senior commercial lenders at night after work at the bank, as well as Omega commercial loan courses, 3-year courses at the Central Atlantic Advanced School of Banking, and countless in-house, in-bank courses. Today, a lot of that is gone. Yet even with my training, many of those courses really didn't help me with my day-to-day functions at the bank. And I've heard countless bankers complain of the same thing. Don't get me wrong, many of these training courses were good courses, but they often failed to hit the mark or get to the meat of the matter regarding how to specifically perform the small business loan process better and consistently book more commercial loans. So before I rattle on forever, the purpose of this course is to make you a better small business lender and a better business development officer for the bank. Now, we're going to try to do that in a number of ways with a lot of specific techniques and suggestions, but we're going to always keep in mind what you do and what you're trying to accomplish, how we can make you successful, how we can make it easier, or rather less time-consuming for you, and how we can fit these things into your daily functions so that you can repeat your actions and consistently do what you need to do in order to book more loans and develop more business. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Okay, well, let's review this again a bit. Why you're taking the course. Well, somebody asked you to or told you to, but really, we want to help you to be more informed about the small business loan process so that you're more knowledgeable and more comfortable with the process in order to save you valuable time and also save you aggravation so that you can increase your earning power, keep your boss happy, decrease your stress level, and show you proven techniques to hit and exceed your goals each month. And finally, to make your job a lot easier and to book more business. Okay, let's change gears a bit and quickly review some of the course specifics. First, there are 15 roughly 35 to 40-minute sessions, about 10 hours in total for the entire course. And you have 20 weeks to complete the work, which basically involves simply listening to the sessions and viewing your computer screen to follow along with this method of instruction. Second, this is an online course. You can take the course at home or at work. That's up to you and your boss. All you need is an internet hookup and a computer. I suggest that you take one session a week at the same day and time each week and at the same place in order to add continuity and frequency to the course, but it's up to you. Third, you may contact us at Lloyd & Associates by phone or email with any questions that you may have. I strongly suggest using email. I really do not want my staff trying to clarify every and any topic matter that you don't seem to grasp from the first time around. Please use the phone for emergency situations only. For example, if our website is not responding, or your user ID or password is not working properly, or if there are some problems with the way the presentation is appearing on your screen. As far as complainers or hecklers, please go to your nearest ballpark and boo your home team. I'm not into fielding complaints or your personal bad experiences with certain issues. Please take it up with your boss or mentor. Again, I strongly suggest that you use email to communicate with us. Also, there is no homework or assignments. None. Nix. Nine. Nada. I may suggest that you add some points or introduce some techniques at your next staff meeting, or that you fill in the blanks on your sheet to make sure you can follow the subject matter we're covering. But there is no assigned homework for this course. You also don't need to travel anywhere for this course, although you may want to suggest to your boss that the entire graduating class get together at the end to celebrate. If you do, please call me and invite me to the party because I'd love to come. With this course, there is no final exam. Your certificate of completion is based on the honor system and an email request from your direct boss indicating that you have listened to each of the sessions of the course and generally understand the contents presented. That's it. There are no reports to generate. You have enough to do every day with your present reports. You will need a mentor, preferably a senior or older commercial lender, for two reasons. One, to ask questions and to clarify things that are presented, and two, you will need him or her to sign off with your boss after you've truthfully told him or her that you completed listening to the entire program in order to obtain your certificate of completion that we will send to you. I suggest that you communicate with your mentor at least once at the end of every month, preferably after listening to at least 4 sessions. It's up to you. But this will allow you to ask those questions that you've been writing down and clarify how your bank views certain things and actually does certain things that I present here. Again, it's up to you. Your specific user ID code and password are yours alone, and you can use the course anytime up to 20 weeks. That's how long your password is good for. You cannot transfer these codes nor have any other person sit with you while you take the course. The codes are just for you and for you alone. The course is licensed to you and to the bank, and you must agree to these terms. Sharing user IDs and passwords here is a no-no. You have a workbook. Make it a point to use it in order to follow along with each presentation, and refer to the exhibits when I mention them specifically. It helps to hear the presentation, to see it on the computer screen, and to then have it on paper so that you can make notes and refer back to it at a future time. You may also print out and use any of the forms for your personal use to assist you with your daily duties and functions. I am not, however, selling these forms as certified forms for you to copy and use as bank forms. This is my disclaimer at anyone attempting to use my forms for official bank use. The various written forms that I present are for illustration and educational purposes only. Please talk with your bank attorney if you'd like to incorporate my pieces into your bank forms library in some way. If you take notice, the 15 sessions are presented in an orderly step-by-step process that builds on itself. For example, I start with the introduction in this first session and try to impress upon you to redefine your role as a business development officer for the bank, as well as initially placing some benchmarks out there in order to start to generally recognize your small business customers. I then move on to session number 2, which involves defining and recognizing your goals, your role, and doing what your boss wants. Sessions number 3 and 4 then attempt to have you identify and target your target market and customer base much more clearly and with profit in mind. Session number 5 focuses on filling and managing your pipeline. Sessions number 6 and 7 focus on prospecting. Session number 8 covers the 20 essential business tools that a business development officer needs. Session number 9 reviews effective customer calls, business entities, and cross-selling. Session number 10 is about analyzing financial statements. Session number 11 focuses on the statement of cash flows. Session number 12 reviews underwriting and the small business lending approval process. Session number 13 focuses on small business write-ups. Session number 14 reviews making the loan proposal and closing the loan. And session number 15 looks at post-loan customer services and other issues. Throughout the sessions, I attempt to make the sessions flow logically into each other and clearly elaborate and present the items that you need to do on a daily basis to be successful. Lastly, regarding the course specifics, I will suggest that you implement certain techniques and suggestions that I make, and possibly either share them at your staff meetings or with your support person. That's because a manager's role is to constantly perform certain team building exercises and to help his or her staff to incorporate certain practices into their daily routine, all with the purpose of helping you. However, it's up to you. If you or your boss wants to incorporate some of these practices into your daily schedule and reporting routine, then go ahead and do it. That's up to you. But I'm not demanding anything from you, simply that you consider taking a look at something different, and sometimes try a different approach now and then with your job to ultimately make life easier for you. Okay, let's go to the subject at hand, the introduction to small business lending and business development. Small business lending and business development is a major part of your job. Wow, what a revelation, right? Well, to some managers or small business lenders, believe it or not, that may be a big surprise. Now, I'm not going to get into the statistics of how important it is for you or anything like that. Your boss has hopefully told you how important it is and has probably given you some hefty goals to reach each month. But you are a branch manager or a small business lender, and you should know that small business lending and business development is a big part of, if not all, of your job. Yet many branch managers and small business lenders are weary of this part of their occupation. Coupled with all of their other responsibilities, they often appear tired or burnt out with all of the prospecting and goals and headaches and stress. But let me say right now that if this is the case for you, you better quickly find a way to deal with it, or you may need to go find something else to do. Because small business lending and business development is here to stay, and booking more business, both with loans and with deposits, in the small business world will become an ever-increasing part of a manager's and small business lender's responsibilities in the future. It's not going away. If anything, banks will continue to increase the bar and ask for more from you. So you better get ready and develop some techniques to deal with it. But don't worry, that's what this course is all about. But how is small business defined, or rather different than, let's say, consumer lending, or residential mortgage lending, or construction lending, or commercial real estate lending? The quick answer is, it's not too different. With each type of lending, you supply cash to the borrower, either for a home or for a car or a new warehouse or whatever. But as a lender, you are the cash person, and in effect, you rent the borrower money. The small business development market has a different target market than your middle market lending market or the commercial real estate lending market has, and will thoroughly explore your target market for both your prospects and your existing customers and how to deal with them in session number 3 of this online course. But you may first want to define small business loans as any commercial customer with borrowing needs up to $250,000. These businesses generally have anywhere from 1 to 15 employees, revenues or sales up to $1 million, and most likely have their personal checking, business checking, payroll checking, and small business loan account split between anywhere up to 4 and more banks. We'll get into identifying retail customers as potential business customers, as well as geographical, income, deposit relationship, and loan relationship parameters for various customers when we segment our clients in session number 3. But for now, for illustration purposes, we can use this loan size, employee size, and deposit account size as benchmarks for the small business customer. You may want to review this with your mentor or your boss and then redefine the benchmarks, but at least we now have some benchmarks as we move forward. Now, how you ultimately determine a small business customer or prospect in your bank's eyes will vary dramatically based on your bank's size, the number of lenders you have at your bank, the number of different lending departments or lending groups that you have. For example, business banking, private banking, middle market banking, C&I or commercial and industrial lending, commercial real estate lending, and so on. But again, it's important to try to establish some type of benchmark, if you will, regarding what size customer you can and you are supposed to be dealing with and targeting each day. But I'm sure you already know this dollar figure or benchmark for the loan size of customers that you're supposed to be targeting based on your experience. I'm not telling you anything new. If you get, let's say, a $75,000 new truck loan request from a small business customer or prospect with no other borrowing needs or existing borrowing relationship with your bank, you're probably going to jump right on that and get right after that customer to try to book that loan. But as a branch manager and or a small business lender, you wear a lot of hats. If you look at Exhibit 1-1, there's an alphabetical listing of the many hats you wear as well as the many characteristics you possess. And you have a lot of different sales goals and employee and community responsibilities and referrals to other departments and more that you need to do. With that being said, my number one question for you in this introductory session, and probably one of the most important questions you can ask yourself regarding your effective time allocation and time utilization practices each day, is why in the world are you babysitting or cuddling or taking care of everyone else's customers in your bank? The business banking customers, the trust department customers, the residential real estate people, and more. Why are you taking care of their customers when they often don't want to give you or your customers the time of day? I mean, can you imagine a customer walking into one of your commercial loan officer's office and asking him or her to order an ATM card for them? Or another customer walking into one of your trust department officer's office and asking him or her to help them balance their monthly bank statement or change their address on all of their personal accounts? It would be funny, and perhaps someone at your bank would like to make a funny hidden video showing the reaction of these different scenes and the confusing looking reactions from your fellow non-retail bankers. Truthfully, at first, you might respond to me asking you why you're taking care of these other customers by saying that that's your job, to help out everyone who comes into a branch or presents themselves to you as a prospect or customer of the bank. And you'd be half right. And if you also said that that's what's expected of you, you'd also be a little right as well. But if you added in that your boss or the president of the bank won't permit you to simply ignore all non-small business customers, you'd be missing the point. You see, I'm not suggesting that you close your teller windows when a residential mortgage-only customer comes in, or that you close the door to your office when you see a business banking customer. These people can be great referral sources for you. Or if you're a small business lender and you see a customer of the trust department when you're out to lunch, that you ignore the person. No, I'm just saying that you need to determine who your customer or prospect is. And we'll really get into this in session number 3, identifying your target market and your prospect and customer base. For now, you need to reintroduce yourself to the small business customer. You need to reestablish the benchmarks of who will be your customer and who will allow you to make and exceed your monthly small business goals, and then properly allocate your time as well as the time of your support team or person that you work with to do the same. As branch managers and small business lenders, you need to realize that you need to clearly differentiate and define who and what makes up your small business commercial loan target market base. This first session in this online course is not to make you aware of 1,000 different statistics as to why small business lending and business development are important and profitable. No, it's meant to clearly, specifically, and unapologetically define your small business development responsibilities and then to act on who your customer is and who he or she isn't. In general, A strictly small business development officer should spend at least 75% of his or her time on the street, and a branch manager should be out of the office on the street at least 50% of the time as well. Take a look at Exhibit 1-2 and sign it at the bottom so that you actually buy into what I'm saying. It's actually as much of a wake-up call for the rest of the bank employees that you work with as it is for you. Because as retail bankers, you generally try to take care of everyone and help everyone and go out of your way for everyone. Again, I'm not promoting that you distance yourself or ignore customers who may not be small business customers. Rather, I'm helping you to initially grasp that with all of your sales goals and monthly expectations, you have to constantly reevaluate and rediscover what customer or prospect is yours. And this is a major point and stumbling block for many managers and small business development officers. Think of going into a Sears department store. A salesperson in the paint department is not accountable for the electronics department's sales or the men's clothing department. Retail bankers must constantly think of themselves as business development officers and not hand-holding portfolio managers or some old notion of a manager who needs to mind everything in the store. You may share different customers with these other departments because you always have a piece of them, most notably their personal checking or savings account with some other services, and you tend to see them often. But it's your job to reintroduce yourself and your staff or support person as to the fact that you need to take special care of your customers. My overwhelming point to convey to you regarding the introduction into the small business lending and business development world is that you make sure that you claim your customer. Again, we'll get into this more deeply in session number 3, targeting your specific customer and prospects. But you must initially understand and accept that your small business prospect or customer is yours, and you need to take special care of them, and you need to take special action with them. So the first major thrust or emphasis regarding your introduction or reintroduction into the small business lending and business development world is the realization of the fact that you are a small business development officer for the bank, and as such, you need to act like one. You need to define what constitutes a small business customer for you in terms of loan size, revenue size, number of employees and deposit size, and more, and then claim those small business customers or prospects as yours and pay special attention to them. In the next session, we'll expound on this understanding of your role as a small business developer, determine how you can schedule yourself to make your monthly small business goals, and then consistently do the specific things that make your boss happy. And while you always want to help out, to take care of the other bank prospects and customers that you and your staff constantly meet, you want to make sure that other departments take care of their own customers as well, as much as possible. Let me give you a brief example of what I'm talking about, and we'll expound on this when we get to session number 3. Here's a quick example or scenario. You're a branch manager with a staff of 15 and a busy branch, and you've got lots of monthly sales goals, including small business goals, referral goals, and more. And your staff has definitely bought into the sales process, and they help out, because if they don't, you're done. But let's say that a business banking customer with a few commercial loans totaling $750,000 comes in each month to your branch, always forgets his bank statement, and always asks for a printout of it, and always asks you to check on 15 different checks and deposits. And he inevitably always finds a way to chew up 45 minutes of you or your customer service people's time. Now, remember, this guy is not your direct small business customer. Yes, he has a personal checking account with $500 in it and a savings account for his daughter. But all of his deposit accounts and loan accounts are under the business banker's cost center. You need to get rid of these types of time wasters, and you need to do it by quickly trying to cross-sell him online banking or giving him the 1-800 number for telephonic support in the future, and or emailing the business banking account officer to make him or her aware that he or she needs to visit their customer each month to help balance a statement or verify 15 or 20 deposits. You simply can't afford to help them in this way anymore. And you need to identify and find a way to effectively deal with the many other time wasters that waste your time during your day. By the way, you need to bring this up at staff meetings. You need to make sure that your staff is aware of your specific goals, that you are a small business lender and development officer for the bank, and that you need their help, that your number one priority is hitting your goals, and that you have no more time for time wasters. Again, we'll cover this a lot in session number 3. The second and equally crucial element of this introduction or reintroduction into the world of small business lending and business development is the realization that you are constantly being monitored and measured in this area. And your staff, your support person, and your boss need to realize that your calling efforts and time spent in the process of prospecting and meeting with small business owners are vital for your success. You have to do it. Again, in general, a strictly small business development officer should spend at least 75% of his or her time on the street, and a branch manager should be out of the office on the street at least 50% of the time. Your support staff and teams need to realize this, and they need to act accordingly. You cannot and should not be sitting behind a desk all the time at the office, not if you want to make goal anyway. Welcome to the world of small business development officers. There should be no more apologizing for calling on prospects or customers on a busy Friday afternoon. No more looks or checkups from the boss. No more stressing out because you can't seem to get away from the office. The business is out there. I'll show you methods and techniques of how to recognize it and deal with it. But you need to reintroduce yourself and your support person or staff to the fact that you need to go get the business. Remember, at your annual review time, all your boss, and you for that matter, wants is for you to have hit and exceeded your goal for the past year. So let's do a brief review of this first session. First, small business customers are yours. They need your special treatment and attention, and you need to start trying to identify them and recognize them on a consistent basis. Second, your small business prospects and existing customers have specific benchmarks in terms of loan size, deposit size, number of employees, and more, and you need to recognize them. Third, a vital part of your job entails small business lending and business development, and making or exceeding your monthly goals. Fourth, you need to start working with your staff to identify time wasters, as well as procedures that waste your time. And 5, you need to clearly communicate with your staff or support person that making your goals is an essential part of your job and their jobs, and you must change what you're doing going forward in order to be successful. So in effect, we stress the importance of the small business development position and the need to claim your small business customers and focus on them. We define the small business prospect or customer and what benchmark figures we use for loans, for number of employees, and for revenues. We started thinking about other people's customers, other bankers within our bank who waste our time, and why we need to remove them from our day. We reestablished and reconfirmed the importance of small business development as it relates to your annual job review and evaluation. And we stressed the need to communicate with yourselves, your staff, and your boss about exactly what you need to do and the time you need to spend in order to develop small business properly. Thanks for listening. On to session number 2, defining and managing your goals, your role, and doing what your boss wants. Talk to you soon. You stay well. Bye-bye.